But John McRae's What Do You Meme channel is pretty huge. But I've actually never covered them, I don't think, on Paulogia, so this will be a first. And he had a short video, which he entitled, Ariana Grande Left Christianity, My Response.
Pop star Ariana Grande said that she used to be a Christian in the past, but her views have since morphed into something that people wouldn't have ever expected.
So Ariana Grande happens to be one of these celebrities that I know who they are. So that's kind of cool, which is partially why I clicked on it. I suspect that we can all guess, though, if they left Christianity, maybe the thing that we don't expect is that they're not a Christian anymore. Maybe? Good clickbait, John. Good job.
Religion a part of your life growing up?
It was, yeah. I like went to Catholic schools, went to Catholic church. I did the Sunday church thing, and I think it was the Pope at the time was like.
Just to clarify, just to reiterate there, in case you're not hearing it, hopefully you're catching the audio there. Ariana went to Catholic church growing up and Catholic schools growing up. And it sounds like it wasn't just that. They also went to Mass on Sundays. They went to various things. So definitely grew up Catholic. And then she just mentioned the Pope.
Really homophobic and totally not a fan of women at all.
So the Pope at the time of this video, is my understanding, was Pope Benedict XVI. Around 2013 is when I think that her deconversion happened. So she's actually been a non-Christian longer than I have. But I'm just kind of keeping you running score here, just so we can talk about this stuff when we hit the end. She just spoke about that the Pope at the time, Benedict, she considered him to be homophobic. Also, she considered him to be against women. Now, for those of you who don't know, Ariana has a brother named Frankie, who I came to know on Big Brother 16. Shannon has been taking me through the Big Brother seasons. Not a thing that I did before I moved here, but it's something I do now. So I met Frankie on Big Brother, and Frankie is gay. So when Ariana learned and heard that her church was rejecting her brother just for being who he was, unsurprisingly, that was a problem for her. And as for not being a fan of women, we'll get back to that, but I think that kind of goes without saying that the Catholic Church, over the course of its history, has not been a huge fan of women, but we'll see where she goes.
Also like SpongeBob or Harry Potter, and I was like, nah, this, I can't do this.
Not for me.
I was like, I'm out, guys. I can't do it. I just feel like
She's out. If the church is coming after SpongeBob and the church is coming after Harry Potter, boom, she's out.
a very religious person, so I became more spiritual, and here I am.
So Ariana left Christianity, left Catholicism, and became more spiritual, and here she is. So, of course, one of the problems that I would have, and if I had a chance to talk to Ariana, what I'd love to ask is, what does she mean by spiritual? In my time on the various call-in shows that I've been fortunate to occasionally appear on, I've kind of learned that when people say spiritual, largely they mean that they're open to non-materialistic claims of some sort. And they prefer not to think of the world in harshly materialistic terms, and they like the idea that perhaps we are connected in some way that can't be measured by science, or that there's some aspect of our lives that are driven, that there might be purpose, and there might be fate, and there might be justice, and some of those type of things, or karma, a lot of those kind of notions that they would make them feel good to think is happening in the world. So that's where Ariana's at. So to review, she grew up Catholic. She heard the teaching of Pope Benedict, felt that he was a homophobe, felt that he didn't care for women, and that he was coming after SpongeBob and Harry Potter. And so now she's just spiritual, not religious.
She's describing a bad experience with a particular person or church, but nothing that she says so far comes from the Catholic teachings or the Bible on the face of it. To be clear.
Okay, so that's interesting. So John here is critiquing that nothing that Ariana says comes directly from the Bible or from Catholic teachings. Well, if we run through these down one at a time, of course, homophobic. The Bible doesn't command you to be homophobic, certainly, but it certainly can be interpreted in a way that a lot of people believe that the command that God feels that homosexuals are abomination and that they deserve that kind of treatment. At least many people interpret it that way. And certainly the Catholic Church throughout its history, maybe not recently, but throughout its history has contributed to some of those issues and problems. Now, kudos to the Catholic Church now. I believe it was in, let me just check. Yes, 1986. The Pope at the time decided that having homosexual attraction in and of itself was not a sin and was not a problem. But what they have continued to affirm even since then was they deny gay marriage. They deny a lot of other civil rights that you would get from those kind of things for people in the LGBT plus community. So despite in 1986 having that slight revision, they're still not great on homophobia. Not great. Are they fans of women? Well, up until 1965, the Catholic Church actually forbade women from working outside the home. For example, the Catholic Church affirms that, men are the head of the home. And most dominantly, the Catholic Church continues to this day to affirm that the highest positions, that of the priesthood, are still closed to women. Now, the current Pope Francis has put some women in some of the higher positions, but they're still forbidden, as far as I know. Let me know if I'm wrong in the comments, because I'm not fully up on everything that happens in the Catholic Church, but it's my understanding that there still can't be a priest. So, I guess mixed reviews on both those things. Now, SpongeBob and Harry Potter. As far as I could find, there was a decree from the Hungarian Catholic Church in that region that at one point they were banning SpongeBob or were against SpongeBob in general. But other than that, the Catholic Church on large has had no position on SpongeBob. So Ariana is a little bit off on this one. That said, she maybe was thinking of Dr. James Dobson, who several years back decreed that SpongeBob was a gay character in his mind and that people shouldn't be watching SpongeBob. The creators of SpongeBob have since come out and said that, like all sponges, SpongeBob is asexual, and that's not how he reproduces. So that was just a whole weird commentary that if you want to go look it up, it was kind of a fun time in the world of SpongeBob. Harry Potter. While the church has no official position on Harry Potter, Pope Benedict did decree at one point. He was responding to questions regarding Harry Potter, and what he said about Harry Potter was that it deeply distorted Christianity in the soul, deeply distorted Christianity in the soul, and because it was young people reading it, that distortion came before that person's spiritual life could grow properly. So that reading Harry Potter at a young age, according to the Catholic Church, was going to distort someone's soul, even though it wasn't forbidden. Anyway, I can get why Ariana would have understood that to mean that the Catholic Church was frowning upon Harry Potter. Those things were enough for her, so she was out.
This isn't to pick on Ariana, because I think that this is probably the most dominant view of religion in our culture today. People see religion as something that depends on preference or what works for them rather than what's true.
So I think John may be right about that, but I think what he's talking about is people who are outside the church. I believe John is pointing at people like Ariana and myself maybe, and other people who've left, or people who were never Christians in the first place, that we view whatever religion we pick as just whatever works for us. It's almost cafeteria Christian, only on a larger level. It's a cafeteria religion. You pick and choose the thing that worked for you, and boom, that's the religion you come up with. And John thinks that is the dominant view of religion in the society. What I would like John to do, though, is reflectively turn back on himself and understand that that is also the dominant view within Christianity. People, as I just alluded to, cafeteria Christians, people pick and choose the type of Christian that works for them, that works for their proclivities, that works for the kind of people you want to associate with, the kind of morals that you feel you have. You find the denomination, you find the sect of Christianity that matches those things. There's thousands, tens of thousands of denominations. You can find one that matches your way of thinking. So this idea that Ariana is, and he said he didn't want to pick on her, that her view is somehow wrong and distorted and misguided. I really think you need to look inside the church and fix this problem. Get the plank out of your own eye before you take the speck out of Ariana's.
Based on what she said in the articles, truth had nothing to do with her decision to choose a religion.
That was the end of the video. John says, as far as you can tell, truth had nothing to do with Ariana choosing her religion. Well, boom. I think John must have been sleeping at the start of the video where Ariana said she was raised in a Catholic home. She had no choice in that. She didn't choose what school she went to. She went to a Catholic school. Her parents chose that. She didn't choose what church to go to. Her parents chose that. So yeah, Ariana of her own volition says she didn't. Truth had no bearing on the religion she chose. Now, if you're talking about her current spirituality, if you're going to complain that perhaps she didn't have intellectual reasons for leaving, I would say maybe that's true. Turns out some of those things she was looking at were more accurate than others. And fine. Ariana, but before you gatekeep who gets to leave Christianity, deciding maybe Ariana studied all this stuff and these are just some of the reasons she wants to give in it, meet a talk show format. We don't know. We don't know what's in her mind and what she evaluated. What you need to do, John, though, if you're going to criticize people for leaving who don't have good enough reasons, you equally need to condemn people who are in the religion who also don't have reasons. When I was sitting in the pews in my last days, after I was pretty much sure that I was no longer a Christian, I looked around, and around me was a sea of evangelicals who had given virtually no thought to their Christianity, but were there that Sunday morning, singing the songs, maybe even taking notes of the sermon, but they've not looked into it one bit. They're Christians because they were raised that way. They're Christians because in their community, that is a way to find fellowship. They are Christians because just atrophy. That's just what they've always done. All of those people, according to the theology that I was taught, all those people are still going to heaven, even though they do not have the first good reason to be a Christian. They're being a Christian out of convenience. If you're going to condemn anyone for leaving for bad reasons, you equally need to condemn people for staying for bad reasons. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Let me know in the comments.